Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And I would like to, before starting, I would just like to say that yesterday, that is the 11th of May, was the birthday of the great physicist Richard Feynman. That's why, in his honor, I wanted to do an integral using Feynman integration technique. And the integral that we're going to do today is one of the classic ones that is best used as an example of Feynman integration, or otherwise known as Leibniz rule, but let's just call it Feynman integration in Richard Feynman's honor. So let's get to it. So what's our problem? It's a classic one. We have the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of x over x dx. And if you want to try any elementary integration techniques, you may pause the video now and try in vain. But as I promised at the start of the video, and it would be insulting to Richard Feynman's memory if I didn't keep my promise of using Feynman integration technique. So let's get to doing that. So to use Feynman's integration technique, you must be aware that we need a general case of our problem, and we do that by sort of parameterizing the integral that we have. So now I'm going to actually first spend some time discussing which of the parameterized functions do not work, and finally I'm going to come back to this page to show you the generalized function that actually works, and then we are going to go ahead and solve our problem using that case that works. And I thought this would be really helpful to you guys because integration is a pretty logical process, and let's look at it that way when we discuss the cases that do not work. See you on the next page. So we have case number 1. Say we parameterize our I. First let me just write I, integral from 0 to infinity of sine of x over x dx. Say I were to parameterize this function as I of b is equal to the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of b times x divided by x and dx. Now say we didn't know that this thing didn't work. What would we do? We would perform a differentiation with respect to b, right? As in a just like any ordinary integral that we evaluate using Leibniz rule or Feynman's integration technique. We would obtain I prime of b being equal to the integral from 0 to infinity of the partial derivative with respect to b of sine of b times x over x dx, and that would be the integral from 0 to infinity of, well, we have to use the chain rule, so cosine of bx times x over x dx. The x's will cancel out, and we have the integral from 0 to infinity of cosine of bx dx, And the antiderivative of this thing is pretty easy. It's basically sine of bx divided by b because of the coefficient inside, evaluated from 0 to infinity. But now the challenge, if you already guessed, is say if we plug in infinity in the place of x, we will have the limit as x tends to infinity of sine of bx divided by x, and when we plug in 0 in the place of x, everything will become 0. So we don't need to worry about the lower limit of integration. So we have the limit as x approaches infinity of sine of bx over x. Well, if the way you think about it is, sine is a really weird function, right? It is always oscillating between -1 and +1, right? And as x tends to infinity, it will be somewhere on this interval. Sine of x will be somewhere on this interval. We don't know exactly what value it will have because it's always oscillating up and down and up and down, and this goes on till infinity. So it has any value between -1 and 1, and we don't know exactly what value. So we can't even say that it's diverging to infinity like we would say with this x in the denominator. So truly speaking, this limit doesn't exist. And since this limit doesn't exist, we can't go ahead with this uh, generalized case of I. We can't go ahead with this because we're ending with something that doesn't exist. We can't make sense of anything anymore. And since we can't evaluate this to a finite value, we won't be able to integrate I prime of b with respect to b to get an expression for I. So this is out of the question. Now, okay, our first trial failed, so let's have a second trial. Now we're going to parameterize I. We're going to call it I of b, and we are going to define it as the integral from 0 to infinity. We need to somehow get rid of this x, so whatever new function we introduce over here should have a b multiplied with an x, so that when we differentiate with respect to b, we just have an x because that's a constant with respect to b, right? So say we have the function e raised to bx times sine x divided by x dx. Now say if I were to differentiate with respect to b, I would have the integral from 0 to infinity of the partial derivative with respect to b of e raised to bx times sine x over x dx. But this is just going to be the integral from 0 to infinity of e raised to bx as it is times an x, because it's differentiating with respect to b, and then we have a sine of x over x term here and dx. And the purpose of introducing this function which has b multiplied by x in the argument was this lone fact that we could bring down the x, and this x could cancel out with the x in the denominator. So finally we obtain I prime of b to be the integral from 0 to infinity e raised to bx times sine of x dx. Now to evaluate this thing, I will have to use integration by parts, and I'm not going to explain everything in this video. So let me just directly write e raised to bx times sine of x over b evaluated from 0 to infinity minus the integral from 0 to infinity e raised to bx, the derivative of sine is cosine of x over b dx. Well, we'll leave the first part as it is, e raised to bx sine of x over b evaluated from infinity to 0 minus Well, we have to use integration by parts again, it seems. So we're going to be having e raised to bx cosine x divided by b times b, which is b squared, evaluated from infinity to 0, minus integral from 0 to infinity of e raised to bx times the sine of x divided by b squared dx. And this is nothing but our I prime of b. Now notice that if you factorize the b squared out, we have I prime of b divided by b squared over here, right, in the place of this term. So we have I prime of b. When I bring this term on the other side, I have plus I prime of b divided by b squared. And over here we have, well, when we plug in 0, everything will become 0. So we only need to concern ourselves with the infinity case. Limit as x tends to infinity of e raised to bx times the sine of x all over b minus, well, when we plug in 0, this will be 1 over b squared. So we basically have the limit as x goes to infinity of e raised to bx times the cosine of x over b squared plus 1 over b squared. Now notice that as x goes to infinity, this will blow to infinity and sine will basically oscillate between -1 and +1, and it will have some value, we don't know exactly. Same with this thing will blow to infinity. Cosine, just like its companion sine, will keep oscillating between -1 and 1, so we can't make sense of this. So it's like both of these diverge, and then we just have this lone 1 over b squared term. So a divergent limit plus a finite constant will still be divergent, right? So this I prime of b is basically diverging. That's what we can conclude, and thus our trial number 2 is also failing, because we want a finite expression for I prime of b, not something that diverges like case 1 and case 2. Well, in case 1 the limit didn't exist. Here it doesn't diverge. It diverges. It doesn't converge, it diverges. So both our trials have failed. And now let's go back to our Feynman integration technique page, and I'll show you what parameterization actually works. Well, before that, here's a hint. So we don't only require a function that has b times x in the argument, we also want a function that converges in this interval. So we need to slightly modify this thing. We need to modify this thing such that it converges and doesn't diverge. So we want I prime of b to be convergent. So after that hopefully valuable discussion, I'll show you what works. So we have I defined as the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of x over x dx. Say we have now defined our parameterized integral I of b to be the integral from 0 to infinity of e raised to bx, but don't worry, there's a negative sign, times the sine of x divided by x dx. And you'll see in a minute why this negative sign will actually help us a lot. I mean, just adding this sign will make a large difference. It's a humongous difference if you ask me, especially when limits are concerned. So let's differentiate both sides with respect to b. So we have the integral from 0 to infinity of the partial derivative with respect to b of e raised to negative bx times sine of x over x dx, and this is the integral from 0 to infinity of negative e raised to negative bx, and we also have an x, times sine of x divided by x dx. The x's will cancel out proudly. That's why we introduce the parameterization, so that we get rid of the denominator. And we have I prime of b being equal to the integral from 0 to infinity of negative e raised to negative bx times the sine of x dx. And like our trial number 2, we have to use integration by parts. So we want to integrate this and differentiate this. So integral of e raised to negative bx is e raised to negative bx divided by negative b. The negatives will cancel out, so we have e raised to negative bx sine as it is, sine x divided by b evaluated from 0 to infinity, minus the integral from 0 to infinity of e raised to negative bx, the derivative of sine is cosine of x, divided by the b dx again. Well, this is I prime of b, right? Now I prime of b is, say we plug in infinity now, so we're basically going to be having the limit as x goes to infinity of sine of x over e raised to bx, I'm just writing it in the denominator, times a regular b, minus, when you plug in 0 in the place of x, because of the sign everything will go to 0. And now we need to use integration by parts on this thing again. So now we have the integral of this thing, which is negative e raised to negative bx over b. The negatives will cancel out, so we have e raised to negative bx times the cosine of x over b squared evaluated from 0 to infinity. So now we have a negative due to our formula of integration by parts, and that negative is getting nullified by the derivative of the cosine, which is a negative sign. So in all we have plus the integral from 0 to infinity. We didn't care about the external negative sign because that anyways got nullified with the antiderivative of e raised to negative bx. So all we need to worry about, all we needed to worry about was the negative due to our integration by parts formula, and the negative due to the derivative of the cosine, and both of them nicely nullified to give us a positive. And we have e raised to negative bx times the sine of x all over b squared, and we have a dx. So now when I calculate this limit, finally sine is again going to be in between -1 and +1, we don't know what. But now notice that as x goes to infinity, this thing, the denominator will go to infinity, therefore the entire fraction will go to 0. So we don't need to worry about anything now because of this e raised to negative bx that we pulled in the denominator, and that just simplified everything for us. Over here now we have the limit as x goes to infinity of cosine of x divided by e raised to bx times b squared, minus, when I plug in x as 0, I have cosine of 0, which is 1, and e raised to 0, which is also 1. So we have 1 over b squared with a negative sign up front. And when I plug in b squared out, I have the integral from 0 to infinity of e raised to negative bx times the sine of x dx. So our I prime of b basically now is, well, x, when x tends to infinity, again cosine is going to be between -1 and +1, we don't know which, but then because of this e raised to bx, the denominator blows to infinity. That's why the fraction tends to 0. We don't need to care about this now. So we have -1 over b squared. And now notice what this thing is. Yes, it's related to this. It's negative I prime of b with this coefficient outside. So this is nothing but negative I prime of b divided by b squared. So I'm going to add this term on both the sides. So I have I prime of b plus I prime of b divided by b squared being equal to -1 over b squared. So I can take an LCM here. I'll have I prime of b outside and then b squared plus 1 divided by b squared, and we have -1 over b squared here. The b squareds cancel out proudly, and we have I prime of b finally being equal to -1 over b squared plus 1. So that's a really satisfying result after all our discussions and trials that we did, and this is going to be very useful when we are going to calculate uh, the integral of I prime of b with respect to b. So after all our processes of differentiating under the integral sign, we obtained I prime of b to be -1 over b squared plus 1. And just for our perspective, what was I? Integral from 0 to infinity of sine of x over x dx. Now we want to integrate from a value where our I of b is 0 to a value where our I of b is equal to I. So I'll also write I of b for some perspective again. Integral from 0 to infinity of e raised to negative bx times the sine of x over x dx. So we want to integrate from a value where our I of b is equal to 0. And what value of b makes I of b equal to 0? Well, you might notice the limit as b tends to infinity of I of b, which is the limit as b tends to infinity of the integral from 0 to infinity of e raised to negative bx times sine of x over x dx evaluates to, because as b tends to infinity, you can put this in the denominator, e raised to bx. As b tends to infinity, the denominator blows to infinity and the fraction goes to 0. So when b is infinity, I of b equals 0. So infinity is a key value that we want. And to a value where I of b is equal to our original I. And when is that true? When b equals 0, right? Because e raised to 0 is 1. And when we have a 1 here, we just have 1 times sine of x over x, which is sine of x over x. So when b equal to 1, I prime of b is equal to I. So 1 and infinity are our two bounds of integration. When we are integrating with respect to b, we are integrating I prime of b with respect to b basically. So let's do that now. So our bounds were 1 and infinity, right? Sorry, this should be 0 because because when b is 0 we have e raised to 0, that's 1. So our bounds of integration are basically 0 and infinity, right? So let's calculate the integral from 0 to infinity of I prime of b db. And why did we select our limits of our upper and lower bounds of integration this way? Because by the fundamental theorem of calculus, in the end we're going to have the limit as b approaches infinity of I of b minus I of 0. Well, we know this goes to 0 and this is our I, so we have negative I finally. That's why this is important. So we have an expression for I prime of b. Let's integrate that from 0 to infinity. So we have negative 1 over b squared plus 1 db, right? We just calculated this in the on the previous page. So now what's the antiderivative of 1 over b squared plus 1? That's right, the inverse tangent of b evaluated from, and we have a negative sign, infinity to 0. So we have the inverse tangent of infinity, my plus minus minus plus inverse tangent of 0. This is a 0. The inverse tangent of infinity is pi over 2. So we have negative pi over 2 because of this negative before it. But what is this equal to? What is integral from 0 to infinity of I prime of b db equal to? Negative I, right? So negative I is basically equal to negative pi over 2. Cancel the negatives. We have I being equal to pi over 2. And in case you're wondering, I is our original problem. So that's a pretty satisfying result and pretty unexpected if you ask me. Like the pi comes out of nowhere again. I mean, this is probably a fitting tribute to Richard Feynman, using his integration technique. So I guess that's it. So as always, let's write the conclusion of this video. What did we learn from this video? We had our I being defined as the integral from 0 to infinity of sine of x over x dx. We used Feynman's integration technique because it was his birthday yesterday. Tribute to him again. And we finally came upon the beautiful result of pi over 2. So that's basically what this video was about. In conclusion, time to wind up again. So please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Recommend me to your friends. And stay home, stay safe. Peace out.